gay shit.
Hello, and welcome to Hell and Hightails. Just anally fisting our way into your hearts more and more with every episode of random weeb bullshit. I am joined today by a delightful anarcho-communist named Nick, who's missing a tooth now. Nick, how you doing?
Hi, I like how you're still introducing me as an anarcho-communist when I'm clearly a Marxist now.
It's funnier that way, though.
It is. Would you like to anally fist me?
I mean, I wouldn't get much enjoyment out of it, but like...
But I would.
I mean, maybe not, but my immediate reaction isn't aversion, it's just like, oh, I'm concerned. Because I don't know, I don't think I don't think I'm enough of a sadist to be able to do that to another human without just being concerned the whole time. To be honest, I am more concerned about me, like, starting to go towards, and then it's like, I don't know, I don't wanna, like, rip you open. Like...
Oh,
because anal bleeding sucks, so you gotta be careful with that shit.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome for me having you. No more context to that. Anyway, to the point, the anime of this episode in particular, we are doing Steins Gate and Death Note. Unless we talk about Steins Gate too much, in which case we'll do Death Note in a later episode. But I decided to let Nick choose, and he's just super into fucking Steins Gate. So Nick, Steins Gate.
Yeah, dude, I really like the time travel genre in general. I think that if you're able to pull off a good time travel anime and not have timelines split in a weird way, right, with paradoxes and such, then you obviously did your job storytelling, because you know how Amnesia is like the lazy storytelling?
Yes.
Well, time travel is the really hard-working storytelling. It's the direct opposite. You have to put a lot of thought and effort into a time travel anime, and they perfectly pulled it off. Like, that's definitely my top 5 favorite animes. Like,
I actually have a very opposite thing on that. Not on, like, the way you feel about it, because I adore Steins Gate. It's probably not in my top 10 anymore, just because since I've watched Steins Gate, I've watched so much other shit that just appeals to me as a human being more. But it's still somewhere up there, because I do adore it. But actually, I don't enjoy time travel shows a lot conceptually. I really don't, but... Steins Gate just happens to do it so well and use it in a way that helps the story that I still absolutely love it anyway. So there's shows like, like Steins Gate, Doctor Who, and even like the Monogatari series had time travel shit before. Or even though it's not conceptually my favorite backdrop in the world, if it is used right with the right cast of characters, it can add a lot and I still adore it.
Right, and I absolutely agree. I mean, Steins Gate has, like, this perfect mixture of being a serious anime, but also having lighthearted, funny moments, and generally a very likable cast. You really do get to love, Okabe and all of them. I mean, like, my ringtone for a long time... Oh, actually, hold on, if I can pull up my phone. My ringtone on my phone is...
the crackling for the poor headphone users.
Yeah. Sorry, headphone users, but this is going to be my ringtone right here.
Bruh.
Here we go.
Pause the fucking podcast so Nick can pull out his bullshit. God damn it.
Don't drop
that. That is just, like, the most fucking Nick thing. That...
It is.
If you, like, had that and somehow mix the fucking USSR fucking anthem in there, it would literally just be your theme music at this point.
Oh, absolutely. That would just be, like, what plays when I walk into a fucking room.
But, a thing that I feel like a lot of people really don't understand when they're trying to write shows that are emotionally moving, that they got this perfectly right in Steins Gate, but a lot of shows don't get this right, is that you can't just be bleak and depressing if you really want to emotionally move people. You need the concept of what makes things emotionally moving and makes things tragic is when you build the idea in someone's head that it can possibly go into a positive direction, and then you pull the rug out of them, and that's what gets you that punch in the gut feeling. That's like I checked my phone expecting to have a lot of money in there, and all of a sudden my bank account's going on negative. It's that all of a sudden, you're just punched in the gut, and everything sucks out of nowhere, and you're not prepared for it. That's the peak of depressing, heart-wrenching moments, and a lot of shows like Elfen Lied, I'll use as an example, even though I do like Elfen Lied, but Elfen Lied has the problem where you go into it, immediately you see 100 fucking randos that aren't important brutally murdered. You know they're not important because they're just there to be murdered. There's a naked lady who's just having gore everywhere. So already in this first scene, you are being showed that lots of people will die, it won't matter. There's lots of nudity and gratuitous gore, which won't matter, that's normal. So now we have created the basis in Elfen Lied that what is normal is massive amounts of gore, blood, and randos dying. So now that is the basis, that is your starting point. If you want things to be depressing, you have to go way beyond that just to get it to be even sad. What Steins Gate does beautifully is it starts with some really slice-of-life, funny, goofy otaku bullshit, and then it hints at some really fucked up shit, before going back to some random, funny, enjoyable, endearing otaku bullshit. And what that does is it hints that shit will get fucked up, but it starts you in making you just enjoy this normal scene of these fun characters. So it starts the point off at being lighthearted while just hinting at getting fucked up. So that way when it finally gets fucked up, you already have your pinpoint at being lighthearted, so it really hits you instead of just, oh, this is a fucked up show. So when shit gets fucked up, it's like, more shit's happening, because that's just normal.
Right. Actually, that was very well said. Because when you build up to something that is emotionally devastating in a show or any source of media or entertainment, you do want to lead them on to think that this could end positively, and then just completely mislead them. It's a misdirection. It's a feeling of personal betrayal to the audience. And that's something that Steins Gate does very well, because, like you said, it goes from this random otaku bullshit to, some hints of some dark things with, Seern and all that. And then it goes right back into that otaku bullshit, and then right into some fucking depressing shit with fucking people, with characters that you've grown to love and appreciate and really come to understand just die. But one thing I love about Steins Gate is that it ends happy.
Yeah, that is true.
It ends
and it
very
feels
happy,
earned.
and it's very
not
beautiful.
A Disney happy ending. This
Yes.
This is a fucking victory that was earned, and
He
they were
fought hard for
changed
this.
in the
Okabe
process of
fought
achievement.
very hard for that victory. Yes, it was a very well thought out and written anime, and I would definitely have to say that it stays in my top 5 favorite forever, because it was so well thought out that you have to have been like some kind of genius mastermind of storytelling to put out a story like that.
Hello, children. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, actually, Dennis is here right now. He kind of just stopped over.
Hey, Dennis. Welcome to the podcast. We have an
Dennis,
intruder.
Dennis is
He
welcome
has
to the
invaded
podcast.
into our
We don't have
borders.
everybody.
The first thing I say is roads.
Now we
Roads.
must fucking murder him.
What you need?
Dennis, first thing he said was roads.
Oh, okay, that's fine. But
Stop! You're scaring him.
I think there's like one show, and more of a manga series, really, because there's not a lot in the grand scheme of things that's adapted. I mean, there's a couple, but there's one that does it really well, where there's never really a sense of hope for majority of it, but they're just,
Right.
it's just, yeah, Berserk. Where Berserk, it's never actually hopeful, but they're just so creative in finding different ways to be depressing. Like, after having, like, with the fucking big scene where fucking Casca's getting raped, everyone's fucking murdered and gored, Guts just chopped his arm off, was pinned back down. After that fucking horrific, gory mess of a scene, but normally, in most shows, you couldn't really come back from that. You couldn't just like, okay, now we're gonna have another depressing scene where someone's raped, because at that point it doesn't mean anything. You've officially made it to the point where you have, by that point in the series, you've desensitized your audience to gore, to rape, and to a lot of things to a huge degree. So what do you do after that to really hit them in the feels again? And what they do is, right after that, you have them escape, and it's like, okay, at least Guts and Casca are alive. But Casca is so emotionally and mentally scarred that the one person Guts has to care about is now so emotionally scarred, they're scared of him, and she's scared of men in general, and she can't even, like, grab her without her freaking out and screaming. He has to put her in a fucking cage just to keep her from running away and getting killed. And now, that is such an entirely different part of the emotional spectrum and where it hurts. It's so drastically far away from how they were, hurting you before, that it still hurts you, because they're going to an entirely different well. And that's almost impossible to do, but they somehow always do it. So it's like one of the few examples where they don't have to give you that hope, really.
Right, absolutely. I like how we're going into a deep philosophical conversation about anime. As though we're not just big man children for watching it.
Well, anime as a medium is, in general, really beautiful, because there's not really the conception to where it has to be just for this one audience, where in America, even when they make animation for adults, it's still kind of, not always, but there's still a little bit of that idea where, haha, get it? We're being edgy, and we're doing lewd jokes, but it's in a cartoon. That makes it funny, right? Haha, it's not supposed to be that in a cartoon. There's still a little bit of that that you can see in, like, a lot of Adult Swim cartoons and a lot of shit like that that's just not in anime, because it's just already being marketed to 100 different fucking groups of people. Even if the predominant one is still young adults.
I think a big example of that is stuff like Family Guy and shit, right? It's a cartoon that's targeted towards adults with humor in it that, is generally considered funny by most audiences. Though I'd say it's very lazy writing at the same time. It's just targeting people for easy money, trying to make political statements that have been made before over and over and over again. It's nothing new or creative that's being brought to the American television network, unless you bring in, like, superhero movies that bring in, like, these concepts of what does it mean to be a man, right? What does it mean to be human, right? It's stuff like that that is genuinely good animation and TV and storytelling in general, is when it makes you question things about everyday life that you normally don't question or bring, or that's not normally brought up.
There's definitely some things that do it well, like BoJack Horseman. Did a really good job with most everything it did, and it did, like, a lot of the stuff that we were talking about perfectly, where it frames itself in, like, a comedic way, which allows you to find the characters funny and endearing even in their flaws, because their flaws are presented in a comedic manner, until you get to the point where their flaws aren't funny anymore and it's just a detriment, and then it gets sad and it hits you because they've made you care and because it can be lighthearted.
Right, and it's like, that's actually one of the problems Rick and Morty has, I think, in my opinion, is that they try really, really hard to be like BoJack Horseman in that sense, where you have this character that's inherently morally corrupt, right? He's the flawed protagonist, but he's not a very good flawed protagonist, because we always know what his true intentions really are.
Yeah. And I think they did a good job. They did a good enough job at first, because the expectations were really low. Because, I got into this, and it's just like this funny... It's just...
Sorry about all the kids.
Oh my god. It's just this, like, funny comedy. So, when it gets...
Yeah, when they...
This is concerning on this podcast, and I'm putting a lot of effort into.
I'm like in the middle of something. Can you kids, like...
A thing I think Rick and Morty did really well is because it was, like, kind of low expectations of just being this goofy comedy, that you know, you were never really analyzing it much. And then when they
Right.
finally got to, like, the point where, you know, Rick finally, like, went to jail and shit, and he turned himself in, it's like, okay. Then that really got me emotionally, because then it's like, oh shit. You know, he's actually just doing a right thing unexpectedly, and he's actually, like, you know, getting the consequences he deserves for it. And it was emotional. But then I feel like, then in the next season, they had some cool stuff, I feel, with developing Morty, but then I feel like a lot of it was just kind of like, oh, okay, I feel...
Back to their same shit. There's no repercussions.
Season 2 was just good enough with how low, like, the expectations were, to where it let me get into it enough to overhype it to myself, to the point where then when there was season 3, I was like, oh shit, yeah, I got too into this. I overhyped this to myself. I was wrong. My bad, guys.
Right. Like, it's a good show. Like, it's definitely worth sitting down and watching, but it's not on that same level as some other media.
It tricked me into thinking it was for a bit, just because I was so unprepared for it to ever get emotional to any degree, you know?
Right. And, like, I do want people to disagree with us on this one, because, like, I do like people to enjoy things.
Well, yeah,
right? Because
you know, if disagreeing, it makes you enjoy something, you know, it's a good thing. Like, I bitched about Naruto and nitpicked the fuck out of Naruto a lot in the last episode.
Yeah, you did. I understand it's not the same show you fell in love with, right? But I'm into that Dragon Ball-esque shit, so...
Well, yeah, then that's good. You should If I got that far into Naruto to where I was watching Shippuden, you're damn right I would have preferred if I just kept being into it. That would have been the better option.
Right, yeah. It's just not everyone has the same preferences.
Like, I wish I watched 98 episodes of Fairy Tail and didn't decide that the show was a piece of shit. However, it just so happens that Fairy Tail was a piece of shit.
Fairy Tail was really bad, I think, generally starting up, but got better. I think it's one of the cases of Fairy Tail gets better with its storytelling as time goes on.
Yeah, but you shouldn't get to episode 98 and still have the same fucking issues you had in episode 1 with it.
I'm just very fortunate that I'm a very patient person. Because, to this day, I still do like Fairy Tail.
Well, that's good at least.
Yeah. Like, it's a piece of hot garbage for, like, the first 4 seasons.
I think a thing that is, like, important is, like, it's better to like as many things as possible, as long as you do not like it in such a manner to where you are deluding itself to its flaws.
Right.
Like, I absolutely love the fuck out of One Piece. I adore One Piece. However, a lot of the issues I pointed out in the adaptation of Naruto are also present in One Piece.
Right,
But I don't pretend that that's not true. There's enough other things I like in One Piece to find it endearing enough to look past those flaws, while in Naruto there just wasn't. So those flaws, pretty much all of them, also exist in One Piece to a degree.
Right, absolutely.
But I'm self-aware of that fact, and I don't go out there and pretend, actually, no, fucking all the animation and fucking pacing in One Piece is fucking perfect, thank you.
Right. I think that's actually, that's one of the ways we're alike, because that's how the way you feel about Naruto is how I feel about One Piece, right? And
that is really fair.
That is a very fair point. And I do appreciate One Piece for what it's done for shonen, anime, right? It's definitely made leaps forward that, not a lot of other anime have done, but it also reuses some of the same tropes over and over again.
There is
and
one
I think that's a big problem with shonen anime. Like, one of the only shonen anime, actually, that doesn't use those same tropes until the very end is the next anime we're going to be talking about, right? Death Note.
Yeah.
Because Death Note is a shonen anime, but not in the way that we would perceive in typical shonen anime.
Yeah, when I think of Death Note, I don't even, think of shonen, even though it's, it does have those aspects, but the way they portray it as a shonen without you ever thinking it's a shonen.
Yeah.
They portray all the same tropes, but in an entirely different format. They're still fighting, they're just not fighting.
Yeah, it's a battle anime, but it's a battle of the wits.
Yeah, and it still has the same kind of feel. That's why the mind games in Death Note are so fucking hilarious, because it's still the fucking
It's
bullshit
brilliant.
twists and the reveals are revealed like a special move in a shonen. It's just as overdramatic. But
I'll
it's
take a
instead of
potato
it being,
chip and I'll eat it.
instead
Like
of
that's one of the most quoted anime things in the world right now. Like that's one of the most like over the top ridiculousness to it. But it really gets you into how those characters are thinking and feeling in that moment. You feel like it's a great battle of, two giants and two fucking colossuses duking it out. It's really brilliant the way they're portrayed.
Death Note also mastered the art of this show. We're going into this knowing we're not going to write a perfect show, but we're going to make it so fucking fun and enjoyable that you're never going to stop to think of any things that don't make sense, because you're just going to have
there are
too
plenty
much fun
of
to
things that
give a
don't
shit.
make sense with Death Note, but it's a very fun and brilliantly
Yeah,
written
so you don't-
anime, and the way that the characters are presented and how
Yeah.
the tropes are played upon. It was definitely a very unique anime.
Yeah, it really is. And here's a thing I'm going to throw in, because here's an actual, like, opinion I have on Death Note, like, as a franchise, that I don't hear anyone else really talk about. Not obvious. The original first live adaptation films, the film trilogy that ends with the solo film about L himself, I actually think those films are fantastic.
Oh, they're phenomenal.
A
I
lot of
absolutely
people like
agree.
to shit on those films, but they adapted it literally as perfectly as you really could have.
Right. They were very good films.
And an interesting thing they did in those films is they took rules and possibilities that existed within the Death Note that the anime never did. They found a different way to present the story that was still faithful to things that could have realistically happened in the story.
Right. They were very clever with the writing of those movies.
There is one thing that's awkward, but I don't get upset about it, because I've read interviews and I know that it's awkward in a way that was 100% intentional. It's just an artistic direction that's just weird. When they designed how the Shinigami were going to look, the director said that he wanted it to look like they don't fit into the world at all because they're not supposed to. And he wanted it to look like it was a man trying to move in a rubber suit. Which, they do. The CG animation doesn't look like it fits into the world at all, and they do just look like fucking rubber suits flopping around, but not ones that feel like they're actually in the world. Which a lot of people hate, because it doesn't really look very good. But at the same time, he exactly did what he wanted to with the artistic direction of how they looked. So I can't be too mad.
Speaking of films and Death Note, how about the Netflix adaptation?
I saw the trailer of that, and it just didn't look like something I would want to watch, so I just never fucking watched it, to be honest.
It wasn't very good. It
A
wasn't.
lot of people were getting really up in arms about it, and hate watching it, and I'm just like, this doesn't look good, and I have 100 other anime I could be watching that are good, so I don't have a reason to waste my time and watch it.
Right. It definitely felt like a waste of time after I watched it. I was like, well, I mean, the actors were good,
Well, that's good.
but that's it.
I feel bad
Like,
for them then. It sucks if you're a good actor and something
was
that's
like-
going to be terrible.
It was like Final Destination. I mean, that's the problem with like Tobey Maguire and like the Spider-Man, the Raimi trilogy, right? Like all the actors in that movie were doing a great job, but Tobey Maguire. So I have to put that in there. I hate Tobey Maguire. Oh, and I like Andrew Garfield as an actor, just not as Spider-Man. I think that when you bring up Spider-Man, that you have to at least say something like that and defend why you hate both of them.
Yeah.
But the thing with it is, it was like a Final Destination mixed with a shitty Death Note. because the deaths were over the top, gory, and I know that that's what they were trying to do, right? They were trying to go for that kind of artistic direction of making it shocking and being a thriller, but
They're trying to go to the artistic direction that was specifically stated can't happen in the Death Note.
Go play, buddy.
Oh dear, children are just attacking this podcast.
Right? I'm very sorry.
There's children attacking. There's poor Dennis, who is just locked in a closet right now.
He's outside with the kids right now.
Okay, so that's why you said you would make it up to him, because you're using him as a babysitter now.
Right? No, it shouldn't be that way. The kids should be listening and playing with their friends. They're just in and out grabbing water and like, hey, Nick!
God damn it.
Title of the podcast, Anime, Attack of the Children.
Attack on fucking children. Okay, I probably don't want to have the line fucking children in a YouTube video.
You don't want those two words together.
I have a feeling, especially if we're talking about
you want to end up on
the culture of otakuism, we probably don't want those two lines next to each other.
Right, no, because there's definitely a lot of, there's definitely a lot of incel and pedophilia culture within some of the culture in America.
That's gonna happen when you have, fucking... There's a lot of anime with lolly shit in it, so there's going to be...
I do try my best to avoid lolly and shouta as much as possible.
And I'm just gonna say, when I say that, I'm not saying that every single person that is a lolicon is a pedophile, but I will say that everybody who is a pedophile would also be into a lot of lolicon shit. There
you go. Like, okay, so it's like not every pedophile is a high-ranking official, but every high-ranking official is a pedophile. It's that.
Pizzagate. It's a fucking secret basement.
I'm using your podcast to advance my political agenda.
That's a whole fucking thing. That's just like the most toxic fucking thing ever. Because whenever you see people arguing about that shit, like, there's a lot of, like, even on, like, the shitty parts of Twitter, there's a lot of, like, actual nice debates that happen. But that is one subject that all I see is, no, you're a piece of shit, you're a fucking pedophile, no, you're a fucking piece of shit, you're just a stupid fucking whatever.
Right, and because there's, like, when it comes down to pedophilia, like, you're either a pedophile or you hate pedophiles, right?
Like, that's such, like, fucking, like, Digibro.
That's a big fucking can of worms that I avoid opening. I make my stance very clear. I will shoot pedophiles if I see them. I make that very clear. They get no help from me. I mean, I wouldn't shoot a pedophile, but I also wouldn't stop you from shooting a pedophile, so... Thank you. Does it violate the NAP? That's my stance on it. But, like, Twitter storms all the time, like, poor Digibro, because he says literally whatever comes to his head, and he puts very little effort to clarify when he says things that sound bad out of context, because he really doesn't care. But then, when he gets into Twitter shitstorms about it, he still can't help but also respond to all the Twitter bullshit that he gets himself into. Right. So he's just in all of this drama and in all of these people's shit lists all the fucking time. And I'm sure 90% of the people who hate Digibro and have these stupid bullshit feuds with him actually wouldn't hate him if they just, listen to him and let him clarify his points. You're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong. Do you know about how much time we have left on this podcast?
We got 15 minutes left still, so we still got a good amount of time.
15 minutes. All right, so we have a good amount of ground to cover. That's good. So that means I can squeeze in a couple of my own little things. I'm a musician.
He actually, if you watch, there's 2 videos I did called That Lucha Show, where I decided to do something kind of weird and do this weird kind of experimental lucha review. I don't think anyone watching this will give a shit, but the ending theme music of that was actually done by this lovely gentleman. And he will be doing the opening. It actually might be in this video, the opening song, if it is there, is also by this gentleman.
Yeah, it's called Project One. It's on my SoundCloud. I go by the name Tiamat. There's already a verified username Tiamat, so I'm probably going to have to find a new name soon.
Yeah, it was very awkward when I typed that in, because when I looked it up, I noticed there were other people with that name.
Right, and he only has like 300 followers. I mean, I only have 30, so I can't say anything.
He only has fucking 10 times.
He only has 10 times more followers than me. Fuck him. No, but I'm probably gonna have to find a new musician name because there's already a verified Tiamat on SoundCloud, which is unfortunate. But yeah, the opening music will be by me. It's called Project One. And yeah, it should be in this video because after this, I will be getting you.
Who is this?
That's the sink. That's actually the sink. Yeah, that is. I'm literally in the kitchen while we're doing this.
Why?
Because this is the only safe place for me to do a podcast.
Clearly, it is not safe if you're just fucking shoving the mic into a sink.
Clearly, you're wrong. I have no room. I sleep in the living room on a couch. Where I'm constantly robo-tripping.
I am not denying that it is the safest location. I am just denying that you can call it safe.
Oh yeah, no, it's not safe, but it's the safest place. Unfortunately, my circumstances are not very permitting, but I make do with what I can.
I'll just... I'm gonna have to find some way to make a joke out of that in the title of this, to save a little face. I know put a disclaimer that whenever Nick is on the show, it is gonna be a fucking mess. Warning! Nick is in this episode.
More kids!
4 kids!
Alright, man?
Fuck 4 kids. That'll be a title.
You fell on your foot? Hold on, come here. Oh, did you scrape your knee?
Yeah, I was...
I'm so sorry. Go clean that off in the bathroom. You go get a Band-Aid,
okay,
sweetie?
Just dump an entire bottle of hydrogen peroxide on it. It'll be fine.
Can do.
Where's the non-alcoholic alcohol at?
The non-alcohol... We have cooking wine up there.
Non-alcoholic alcohol.
Alcohol? Look up there.
Here's some tape that contains 0% tape. Here's some new Kool-Aid jammers, now containing 0% juice. They had an ad one time that legit advertised the fact, now contains 10% juice. Like, oh man, that's such an accomplishment. That in your juice, you managed to have 10% of a fucking fruit in it. Good job. You fucking... 10%. You fucking posers.
It's not all artificial flavoring. It's just mostly artificial flavoring.
Yeah, it's only 90% bullshit. I feel that way when people try to get me into some anime, and they, like, high school was the worst, because in high school is when you learn how to argue, but you don't learn how to argue well. You
just argue improperly always.
Yeah. In high school, you finally get your good ability to argue, and then you get the feeling that if you do not argue literally everything, then that means you agree with someone, and you feel like every hill has to be the hill to die on, so you just argue everything. Except you don't know how to well, because you don't have the maturity to actually, like, analyze it deeply. At least, not everyone, but a lot of people.
That's a very well thought out statement, because that's exactly how I was when I was 16, and I did that one debate with you. I would not budge. on anything, even if I was misinformed. Today, I still have the same viewpoints, but I know more and more why I have those viewpoints, and I can argue
in our,
it
like,
better.
old debate video, we've both done, like, a lot of growing since then. Like, there was a lot of statements in that I was still kind of wishy-washy about, because when we did that, I was at a really, like, crossroads in, like, me and politics at the time, so, you know, I've changed a lot of opinions since then, which is part of the reason I kind of hate that video.
Right, I become more. I mean, I don't hate the video. I think it's iconic because that's just like where this all started.
Yeah, that's why I can't delete it. I look at it and I'm like, I hate you. I hate that you exist.
Future
you bother me
generations.
tremendously. However, I have to keep you as a fucking, like, tribute to the fact that that's what started my friendship with this weird communist dude I know. That is currently just being attacked by a horde of children.
Oh man, we've done a lot of growing since then, haven't we?
Yeah, we really have as humans. Like,
oh, I got you in a moment. Okay.
I mean, you've kind of lost some because now you have less teeth. So like, you are a small.
I have
you take
one
up
less
mass now.
Yeah.
You have decreased in mass because there's less teeth there.
I have, in fact, decreased in 1 tooth's worth of body weight. Actually,
yeah,
I've been
so you're
losing
now
a lot
you
of
take up
recently.
less space within the universe, so you have actually shrunk.
Hey, down to 195. Hey,
Yeah.
JW, Dennis is down to 195.
Hey,
Hey, congratulations, Dennis.
Good job,
The viewers
I'm proud of you.
congratulate.
Oh, thank you.
Very proud. Love you, man.
Actually, though, probably what I might do, seeing that, like, I feel like anytime it's, like, a me and you episode of the podcast, it's gonna be all over the place bullshit. But it's always fun bullshit. So I think what I might do is I'll always have the episode I do with you as an additional one within the week. That is not the, for sure, once every week episode. So that way... That way, if people are really, like, audio snobs and they don't like children running in, they still have an episode every week they can watch. But if they really want to see the disorganized bullshit, they can just have this also in addition.
I think that's what makes these kinds of podcasts with you and me so great, right? Is that it's so disorganized. And eventually, I will have it organized. I'll have a good setup with a good computer and a good microphone. That was my notification tone, by the way. It's free real estate.
God damn it. That's such a great meme, though.
Right? It's been my notification tone for like 2.5 years now. Like
God
straight.
damn.
I have not changed my notification or ringtone in 2.5 years. I've had this phone for 2.5 years. That's my longest lasting phone.
Oh, dearie.
Right?
My longest lasting phone was probably like my worst phone. I don't know why it lasted that long. It just wouldn't die. It was like Impact Wrestling. It just couldn't die.
Actually, no. Yeah, you're right. This is my second longest lasting phone. My longest lasting phone was was one of those fucking track phones that you got from Walmart, right?
Dude, so was mine.
Those ones that are like they're still smartphones, but they're not very smart.
They're still smartphones, but they just fucking suck. They can't even
They're
process
like
Pokemon Go.
They're like $20 smartphones. They don't have gyroscopes or nothing in it. They're just touchscreen and phone calls and videos.
I think I might have had one that was like a little bit better than that, but not
Like
by a lot.
I literally because I couldn't pay my phone bill for such a long time. I mean, I haven't been able to pay my phone bill in a while either. Just me. I'm poor, right? Though, come on, if this YouTube shit works out and music shit, I won't be. So guys, hit me up. I would always just download music, and my phones have primarily been for music. And back in the day, I would record myself for YouTube on a shitty camera and upload. And all those videos have hence been deleted from a channel I used to have called The Legend. I did like covers of metal songs. Yeah, I did rants and raves when I was genuinely misinformed about a lot of subjects. When I genuinely thought that Drunken Peasants was a podcast.
But I shouldn't. I shouldn't call you out on how pretentious and dumb that name is, because I've had worse names. However, that is a dumb and pretentious name.
To be fair, it was inspired because for the longest time, my gamer tag on Steam was The Legend 56.
God damn it. I hate it.
I don't know where
it.
I don't know where it came from, but I was just called Legend over and over again, and it was like to feed my narcissism. Because if I had people that thought that I was good at things, then I was happy. That's all that made me happy when I was younger, was just being good at things. That's why I tried so hard at CSGO, right? And got super good at that game for a while, and very nearly went semi-pro. I mean, I had the opportunity to go semi-pro. I just didn't take it because I thought I was going to be going to college, but we still see how that turned out. So, if a golden opportunity comes and strikes you in your face, you should take it, children. Don't turn it down.
It's actually funny because my way of going about things with, well, I would name things as the exact opposite. Mine was because I was always, like, called an idiot growing up, and I talked about this a lot in the last episode, so I won't, like, say too much about it. But my thing always is growing up, I was always called an idiot, and everybody told me that I was just a useless crybaby idiot who couldn't understand anything. And not because I was actually stupid, but because with just how my brain is, I just process a lot of things differently, and a lot of the ways that things can be explained that will make sense to me aren't the ways that normal people like to explain things usually.
Right.
Which is probably why a lot of times when I explain things, they don't come across very well, because I'm explaining them in the way in which I would understand them. But, so what I did is I just labeled all of my stuff, like, idiot in some way. My Roblox account was Ms. Idiot, because if I call myself an idiot, and if I'm just like, yeah, I'm just stupid, then nobody else really... Like, if your biggest slam is calling me an idiot when it's already in my username, then you're the person that kinda looks like you're lazy at this point. You're not gonna really get a good slam there. So I just
right, and as a kid, that's a very intelligent thing for a child, actually, is to use that logic against people.
Yeah,
it actually furthered the people, it really did further the claim that people that called you idiots were genuinely the ones that were idiots themselves. Though I'm sure that they really weren't. I'm sure they were just kids being, kids, because kids can be awful at times. I mean, I live with a ton of them. I know they can be pretty mean to each other. And
they're attacking you a lot.
They attack me a lot. I get called ugly by one of the little girls all the time.
Actually,
but I'm pretty sure that's because the little girl has a crush on me.
It's actually kind of funny. For a long time, I kept calling myself an idiot until it got to the point. Because somebody's like, oh, stop calling yourself that, you're not. And I was about to say something about how I started, the sentence of saying, oh yeah, I just kind of do that because people always say it. But then I realized, I'm like, wait, no one says that to me. Nobody calls me stupid or questions my intelligence. And then I sat there and I'm like, I can't even think of the last time where there was a lot of people actually genuinely thinking I wasn't smart or actually thinking I was stupid. But I just kept it up so long, I didn't realize when it stopped happening.
Right.
But
I think as children we put on facades a lot.
We are approaching the end of our time with this delightful communist today. Nick, go ahead and plug all your bullshit before the 2 minutes we got ends.
Yeah, you can follow me on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/TModisNick. I'll have JW put a link in the description of the video, so you can go ahead and check that out. You can find me on Facebook at Nick Sunderbrook. Pretty easy to spell. It's a public Facebook page. I just share memes and stuff and talk about my drug experiences. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be famous in the sense of, I want fame and fortune. I want famous in the sense that I want friends with all of you. So, yeah. Go ahead and do that, and check me out on Twitter at the legend at _legend56. So yeah, go ahead and do that. Also check me out on Steam, Trap Lover 69420. Yeah.
Alrighty, and as always, we are on YouTube at Helen Hightails on YouTube. We're trying to get Spotify. We are approved for the last episode to be on there. It just hasn't popped up yet because Spotify's a pain in the ass. You can follow me at Twitter at FlashJWEvans if you like pro wrestling. I talk about anime and video games on there also, but Twitter is primarily my pro wrestling rant medium. Fuck that thing. So, don't follow me on Twitter if you hate wrestling. And, yeah, that sync is fucking annoying and I hate it. And this has been Helen Hightails. Bye, Ski.
Hell yeah. See ya.